Boys, if you're surfing along, smashing your opponents with giant fish, and it's not in buttery smooth 120 plus frames per second, you need to be using LD Player. LD Player 9 is now available with the smoothest gameplay, the most stable connection, and a ton of tailor-made features just for Epic 7. So while you're enjoying this Summer Break Charlotte video, please use the links in the description below and in the pinned comment to start using the best emulator available and help support Car and the channel. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. What's going on, y'all, and welcome on in. Unlike the Sage Vivian, the Sylvian, I got the Summer Break Charlotte rundown, honest review, pull guide, skill enhancement, artifact selection, all that good stuff ready for you guys today. Hopefully this comes out the night of. Might be a little late, but we'll get it on the same day. So I'm super excited, boys. The summons went well. First off, you guys already know what I'm going to ask you. How did your summons go for Summer Break Charlotte? If you do decide to summon, I'll give my entire breakdown at the end after we go over the Charlotte guide in terms of what you need to be aware of, units coming out soon, and whether or not every single person, especially free-to-plays, should summon for her and the artifact. Okay, but overall, here's the build, boys. I had an absolute blast playing her today on stream. Please, guys, if you have a chance, I know sometimes the hours you guys might be working, you might be sleeping, whatever it is, but on Twitch, we had a crazy time today testing her out in RTA against good players, and I'll give a little spoiler. She was so fun, and it worked really, really well right out of the box. So I'll explain everything that happened, my thoughts on builds and maybe other various builds, and then we'll do the normal thing, and I'll provide some gameplay footage from the stream earlier. But without further ado, boys, yeah, let's go ahead and start our honest review of Summer Break Charlotte. Alright, y'all, let's go ahead and talk about the build that I decided on here, and I do think she has a lot of versatility and different styles that you can play, and that's been kind of Smilegate's trend lately. I said that about Sage Vivian as well. Summer Break Charlotte is no exception. I remember when she first came out, boys, and we were even predicting on the patch preview, right, our first impression video, we all thought, she could be using a ton of different styles. She had such a crazy kit with a new, dual attack or Unity feature. And on top of that, I remember a lot of cleavers, especially. Cleavers and hardcore aggro. Fast, hit hard, hit fast. Players being super excited for her. In actuality, I think she still works there, but surprisingly, what I saw from a lot of the streamers I know, at least that play Cleave, a lot of them were having not the best success. It was working here and there, but not as good as people predicted in terms of that. Now, it's still day one, so who knows? It might, she might actually be a Cleave monster, and people just got to figure it out. But so far, actually, what I've been seeing the most success with, and what I had a ton of success with today, is a build like this, guys. Now, remember, this, if Smilegate designs a unit well, that has a lot of different playstyles, you need to tune them or build them to which suits you best. If you guys like the slow tanky style, solo Summer Break Charlotte, hopefully I included like a montage clip from today showing her solo potential. I like this build because it maxes out our tankiness. There's a unique feature where her skill 2, sorry, we're gonna kind of cut forward to the skills even though I'm going over the stat build still. The stacking dual attack, boys, right? Enhanced dual attack, whenever it says at the end of every 4 ally turns grants enhanced dual attack, right? We all know how that works. What I actually did not know until today, and actually had a viewer tell me about it, shout out to Inori, and we saw it confirmed happen in action. And when it happens, boys, it is so dang awesome. Kudos to Smilegate for implementing this, which really helps slow play on Charlotte. Here's the deal, guys. When you get the 4 ally turns ending and you get the enhanced dual attack, if Charlotte hasn't taken a turn, right? Let's say she's still slower on the CR bar, which at 131 speed or base speed, I would actually drop even more speed if I wanted to, or if I could. You actually keep stacking this buff even when you have the enhanced dual attack present. So if you're lower on the CR bar, if she hasn't taken her turn and she already has the enhanced dual attack, you can actually stock up a second enhanced dual attack. And it worked for me 100%. It is not a gimmick. It's not a bug. I unleashed one enhanced dual attack and the second one was instantly ready. Which I think really allows you to play a little more tempo and do a big hit, right? A double big hit on an explosive round. And I'm glad Smilegate did that because that makes the slow builds a lot better. Anyways, let's get back to the stat build real fast, boys. So I'll go over, excuse me, I'll go over the pieces real fast. I opted for lifesteal, but honestly, you can do a lot of different builds if you wanted. The main thing is having, if you have lifesteal, right, you're going to go for a much slower build because we lose out on, you know, for example, speed stat or destruction set stat, the free gear score. Make sure y'all check out my gear score video I did on the Amazon channel when you have a chance. And since lifesteal doesn't give us inherent stats, we need to make that up by probably running health boots here. So we really rely on support from our team. In most of my matches, I ran at least 2 support and a tank. Like I said, I was running her in the possibility of having a solo carry potential, because if I pick 2 solo Giga carry DPSs, usually it was Archdemon Mercedes alongside Summer Break Charlotte. My opponent a lot of times disrespected the Charlotte and would just ban out the AD Meru. And this build, obviously, for me, worked out very well, even in the solo carry position. The crit chance, of course, I would like to raise even higher, but with how much free crit she gets, we couldn't run a crit chance neck. So we'll fix that up eventually. I really just stole a lot of Seaside Bologna gear. She runs a very similar build to my Lifesteal Rengar's Drink Seaside Bologna, with the exception of you need to get more crit damage from her neck, because Seaside Bologna ran a crit chance neck. So just a heads up, you're going to need a lot of crit damage. One other note, boys, is if you notice the attack, a lot of people are worried about getting her attack a lot higher. I mentioned this in the first impression video, but her sign, her star sign is Gemini, same as Green Charles. And if you're a newer player, Green Charles used to run Epic 7 way back when, especially in Guild Wars. He was an absolute terror. Even in some RTA, he was a monster, but he always had very poor attack scaling. And so with Summer Break Charlotte's arty and just getting a crit damage neck and crit damage subs, the damage is still there, boys. And the fact that she has a 50%, where is it? 50%, excuse me, 60% defense break, unlike SSB. 60% defense break on her every skill 1, which she's just going to be throwing out. She's going to be spamming those out there. The damage is just fine, and you're probably going to want to be on this artifact, but we can cover a few other options potentially. I only have a few other that I tried or seen. But overall, this is stat build, boys. Don't worry too much about attack, and in fact, try not to scale too much attack because you're losing out. Since she scales poorly on it, those stats could go elsewhere. Just make sure she has enough, right? I felt just fine at 2800. If you want to be closer to 3K, that's cool too, but just don't go too high on it because you are losing out overall on stats. Speed, you can go as low as 0. I saw a lot of success from people around the 150, 160 range, so don't feel like you have to be 0 speed or speed is bad like on Seaside Bologna. Having a little bit is just fine, and honestly could be better overall. I'll test more of that in the future. Crit chance, guys, try to get this as close to 100, but for an AoE spamming unit, it's not that important. But for Charlotte, we do want to be higher because the skill 3 hits like a truck, and missing a crit chance there, right? We almost have a 1 in 10 chance to miss the crit. I want to get that higher for sure. And then the crit damage we add in the bonus here feels just right. Very good. All right, so let's talk about the skills. I kind of mentioned the skill 2, the stacking feature, but the skill 3, boys, this is one I really underestimated. I actually thought it was AoE at first, which would have been way too OP, but just because of it's an entire AoE wave hit. But it is a single target damage dealer that scales off missing health, and the big thing is the stun and the increased speed. So not only does it hit very hard, my build though, it's not a glass cannon or aggressive build, so the skill 3 wasn't as impressive as other Summer Break Charlottes might be, but it's still, the damage is still very impressive. And if you did need to close out a match, a lot of times, right, the opponent Apocalypse Robbie is their anchor. She's going to be the last one alive, and she usually has, you know, been beat up a bit. This is a good finisher for her. And in general, just to start off the match, just hitting them with the stun, good amount of damage, which will one-shot squishies, and providing speed up for your team so that you can start that tempo gain, right? You can start cycling other units to enable Charlotte. At least that was the style I chose. So the skill 2, right? Free crit chance, boys. I talked about how strong this 4-turn ally stacking thing is to give us the new enhanced dual attack. But overall, boys, this is just a very nice feature. You want to run units either like, that's why people wanted cleave, or aggro units that can take multiple turns will accelerate this faster. But if you want to build a slow tanky playstyle like me, guys, you want to use units that have that can cycle really quickly. So units like Kowarik, who has built-in CR push on skill 1, skill 3, Dian's barrier push on skill 2, skill 3, and skill 1. Dian is actually insane with her. I like to run those two together, and they'll just cycle so many turns for Charlotte, enabling this. And then Raz is really nice for the mega barrier. Guys, I wrote a tier list guide for knights. Raz is by far the best knight, at least in my opinion right now. As long as we don't need the cleanses. Raz enables dual attacks, which will proc her AoE, unlike Fire Charlotte. And yeah, the defense up, and survivability. He's what makes her stay alive. And then the skill 1, guys, nothing really to say. This is just where she's spamming AoE attacks that have a chance to defense break. The combat readiness, you just cycle like crazy, boys. It was so fun. All right, so that's enough about how good she ran for me. That's my specific style. Like I mentioned, you can run her in aggro, you can run her in cleave, you can run her mid-range DPS, right? If you guys want to go a little bit faster, sacrifice some bulk, that might work too. But I encourage you guys that play tanky to give this a shot. She can work in solo DPS. Just make sure your other DPS is also capable of solo carrying and give her enough support. And she, oh my god, guys, I haven't had this much fun with a newly released unit, sorry, in a long time. I'm having way more fun with her than with Sage Vivian, even though I love Sylvian's looks a lot more. All right, let's go over the skill enhancements, boys. She is a plus 15 unit. You really just want a plus 15. I actually started, some of the footage you guys might see might have been her without skill 3 enhancements, because I was trying to sacrifice a little bit of molas here and there, but she ended up being so fun, I had to max her out. Look at my mola situation, boys. I only got 6. How are you guys looking? Remember, I'm going to talk about this later, but Full Metal Alchemist collab coming out. 99.9% is going to be FMA coming out pretty soon, so try to save some molas if you can. But if you want to build Summer Break Charlotte, she is a plus 15 unit. If you have to skimp, if you're free to play and you just have no molas, you have no other option, I would advise you guys to either pick skill 2 or skill 1 first. Try to get as many into these 2 as possible. It's really a toss-up. Skill 1 is the better one overall, but if you need the crit chance like I do in your build, then you need to get the S2 as well, right? So just see what your crit chance is, but get skill 1 and skill 2. They are much more important than skill 3. And then at the end, you still need to get skill 3. She will have sometimes multiple turns to, or sorry, she'll be able to cast skill 3 multiple times in a match. That was a mouthful. So you can run this if you wanted to, but for my slow build, it wasn't that impactful. I just wanted it for the damage. All right, so that's skill enhancements, boys. The artifact selection, I think, here's the deal. I'm going to start branching into our must pull or honest review, should you pull her section. I think you need to pull for her for the artifact, and you want a copy of her as well because they're both limited. Now, guys, there's a big difference between her and her artifact being must pull just because they're limited. Like in some of the Guilty Gear units, I won't pick any particular out, but some of those are outdated, power crept, not as good. You still want to pick them up for collection or if they get buffed later. Charlotte is the real deal. She's not a meta breaker. She's not a Hua Young level 7th disaster by any means, but she is solid enough, she is fun enough, and she can be played by many different styles that I think every single one of you watching should try to get her if possible. Now, if you're a huge Full Metal Alchemist fan and you're free to play, maybe you could skip her. She'll come back next summer for sure, but I would really advise you guys to try to get her and at least definitely get the artifact. It is insane for her. There are other options which we'll talk about here in just a minute, but the artifact is so good for her, and I could see it being used on other knights. It is very unique. It's like a Draco plate just for knights. I really advise you guys to pick one up either through powder or try to get one through summons. All right, last but not least, let's talk about artifact selections. Where is the main one that I've seen is you can just run any damage artifact like Portrait, but I did see the one that I wanted to test besides her own arty. I think her own arty is best in slot, the Mature Sunglasses. But if you wanted to try something else, and I wanted to try this as the solo DPS, I wanted to run, man, guys, sorry, I can't seem to find it here. I'll look in here. Symbol of Unity. When we fight Earth units, we were fighting Remus, Landies. She still worked, but being Ice is a little bit of a hindrance, unlike if we were a Moonlight unit. So having that extra hit chance is nice. And then, of course, if we ever fight any dodge units like Rylet, Violet, whatever have you, the hit chance there is great as well, plus the raw damage dealt you get. But in terms of survivability and the crit damage we get here, I love this Mature Sunglasses for her. I wish I had more copies. I might pull some more. We'll see, because she's just such a fun unit. Alrighty, guys, I think that wraps it up. We covered most of the builds here. Artifact selection, skill enhancements. Hopefully I got to show a lot of the matches off. Make sure y'all stop by the Twitch stream. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. Good luck on your summons, and just be careful. I'll wrap up by saying, I kind of mentioned before, but if you were going to save your bookmarks, I really try to get her and her arty. They're both limited, but with the collab coming, I'll just say collab because it may not be FMA. It's FMA, boys. Just not official, confirmed yet, but if you want to save for the Full Metal Alchemist units, maybe you want to do that instead if you're looking forward to them, but who knows how long in the future that'll happen. I'm guessing sooner than later, but really try to get her overall, and enjoy, boys. She's an absolute blast to play. All right, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.